Hello and welcome to Auto Arcadia. I am Thomas Hope, and with me is.
Colin Wood, the other host.
Hi, Colin. How are you?
I'm not bad, Tom. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good. So, what are we going to talk about today?
Well, there's a couple of things that have been on my mind. So one of them is automotive oddities and
Oh, yeah.
sort of the unusual side, a walk on the wild side, if you will. But the one I want to kick off with is what got you into cars?
That's a big question, really, isn't it? Because,
It is.
I don't know about you, but I got into cars before I can really remember, being, if you know what I mean. Like, from all the stories I get told, I was like very, very, very fixated on cars from a very, very young age. Like, that's kind of all I really cared about. Like, it was the primary interest, the only kind of interest. Like, for a while, I really liked just anything with wheels and a motor. Like, it was just something about that. But then as I got older, it became like more obvious that car was like the optimum form of wheels and a motor.
Yeah.
Do you kind of get me? Like, it's like I've always kind of just been obsessed with cars. I really love them. I was really interested in them. I liked the variety. I liked seeing them. I was like, you know, I get told a story from my mum where she was like, "Oh, we took you to some like zoo or farmyard where you could look around and there's like a horse or like a llama or some kind of animal directly in front of me when I was a kid, and I am pointing way, way in the distance at a tractor in a neighboring field, being like, tractor." Like, I had a kind of single-mindedness of didn't really care about anything else.
Fair enough, man. Yeah, I kind of get that. Like, because my earliest memories, certainly of what I think of as being me, like my interests, are all of cars. And
Mm.
it's all like scrambling about with a plastic spanner helping my granddad fix a car. That's it. Like, yeah. And always like asking about them, wanting to do something with them. Like, couldn't not touch a car, you know?
Absolutely. Just like seeing a car you hadn't seen before was exciting. It was interesting. You were like, what's that?
Yeah, man. Like I can still remember, like as a kid, walking past a parked car, and I'm pretty sure it was a BM as well. And it was the first time I saw like a proper screen in a dashboard. I was like, oh my god, look at that! It's like something out of Thunderbirds. um, yeah, so it's like that kind of ages this considerably. So it does.
Yeah, totally.
Can you imagine a child now being like absolutely blown away by a screen in a car?
Yeah, kind of the norm, isn't it?
It is. My God, that's sad. That it's the norm, not that it's like, yeah. Cars are better without screens, man.
Yeah, I mean, I don't like touchscreens. Screens are kind of fine, but I don't really like touchscreens very much.
Yeah, like a screen that has been machine gunned around it with buttons. That's fine.
Aye, a screen that just displays information, not one that I have to like actually fucking navigate with my finger.
Yeah, because it just doesn't fucking work. Because like you want a physical button,
I
and
do personally.
yeah,
Yes,
I
yes,
want a
please.
physical button. Do you know what I don't get though, right? Because people are totally accepting of this in cars, but then like, see if you turn it on its head and say, right, well, instead of having a laptop with like mechanical keys, what you're going to have instead is just a big LCD panel with keys on it, and it doesn't do anything apart from have keys on. Like it's not multifunction. You can't watch videos on it. You've still got the screen, and then instead of having a keyboard, you've got a single big pad that has digital buttons on it. Nobody would buy a laptop.
Yeah, I mean, you can argue tablets are kind of like just a big screen that you can type on and stuff like that, but I'm not really a big fan of typing on tablets. Like, I just
No,
don't. I don't like typing on touchscreens.
so I was going to say that. Like, I've got a tablet there, and it's got like a clip-on keyboard,
Mm,
like a cheap version of a Microsoft Surface.
yeah.
Um, and like that works, but see if you lose the keyboard, no, throw it in the bin. It's fucking crap. Like horrible, horrible, non-tactile experience. It's just disgusting.
I think it's familiarity for me in a lot of ways as well. Like, I am kind of more. I'm like physical keyboard, a physical button kind of kind of user. A few touchscreens inherently with suspicion.
Yeah. You know what, right? Fucking right in there. Less than 10 minutes in, I'm going with a controversial opinion, but if you like touching... No, let's restart. If you like typing on a touchscreen more than you like typing on a traditional mechanical keyboard, you're a fucking pervert. End of opinion.
What happened? That's bold. Yeah, okay, fair. I have another question for you that's completely not related to cars, but do you prefer typing on your smartphone on the touchscreen keyboard, or would you prefer going back to, do you remember when it was like the numbers, so you would mash like 2 twice to get?
So, neither for me.
Just no messaging.
No, lots of messaging, right? But I used to have a Sony Xperia X1. That's like a 30-year-old phone now. But it was shaped like what a phone we have now is. So it was like the oblong with a big screen, and there was just some buttons on the bottom, right? But then you turned it on its side and you pushed the screen up, and it's like the phone was in two halves. And the screen slid up, and there was a full-size QWERTY keyboard underneath it.
But just tiny.
Yeah.
I think that would be a problem for me. I do not have the level of coordination over my hands that those kind of keyboards need.
Oh no, man! This was the boy. I'm just sending you a photo of it now. Sony Ericsson X1. Right. Honestly, see, I loved this phone so much, right, that I actually nearly bought one on eBay, and then was going to like electrical engineers saying, how can I transplant an iPhone or a new Galaxy into this and just have it go to that screen? Like, how, I know there's a way for it to happen, but how do I do it? How much would it cost? And everybody's like, it would cost way more than it's worth. Like, you'd probably buy 2 brand new Galaxy phones for it, the cost. And I'm like, oh, bastard, because I really want that keyboard.
Does it used to be a Windows phone? Oh no, it's Sony, because it would have been something.
It was Sony
Ericsson.
Yeah, it was like before. This was when everyone had their own OS.
I mean, the keyboard is pretty big, but yeah, I still struggle with that, man. 100%.
I absolutely loved it. It was one of the best phones I've ever owned, right, ever since. Like, nothing's came close to it.
I'm sorry, man. I don't think we're ever going back down that route either.
I know, it's heartbreaking. I just want a nice tactile experience. It doesn't matter whether I'm driving a car, riding a bike, using a ratchet, writing with a pen. I want something that's nice and ergonomic and a nice tactile experience. I don't want to be uncomfortable and fucking have difficulty navigating menus. It's just not needed. I especially don't want to have difficulty navigating menus when I'm doing 120 mile an hour down a dodgy back road and I'm having to look at a fucking screen to check to up the volume of my death metal.
Or if it does that horrible thing where it just automatically dims the volume slightly.
Oh, that's horrible.
Mm.
There is one thing you get on modern cars that I do like, and that's the automatic volume increase. It's like, I can't remember what the setting's called, but like when you put a window down, it picks up on a mic the extra background noise and increases the stereo volume. That's class. That's a good idea.
Fancy, yeah. I don't know if I've ever been in a car with that.
No? It's like adaptive volume or something. It like +5's the volume, but like off the chart. So like your volume knob still works, but it just +5's everything.
I get you, yeah.
It's pretty cool.
My Audi had a feature where it would increase the volume when you were going fast, so you had to turn it up. But when you slowed down, it would turn it down for you.
Really?
Yeah, it was really fucking annoying. I hated it. It was one of the most annoying features of the car. Constantly had to turn the volume up on that, because like every time you slowed down to do anything, like like a maneuver or something, it would be like, "Gonna make it so quiet," and then as soon as you put it, you're like, "Why can't I hear? What's going on?" And then you're like, "Oh, the volume's down at 4 for some reason."
That's fucking horrible. So what?
I'm still clearly mad about it as well. Yeah.
Like as soon as you come from a 60 to a 30 limit, you have to turn your fucking radio up.
Yeah.
Wow. No. This is I never even knew about this, Thomas, but I already hated Volkswagen Audi Group for it.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, genuinely, it could have just been that car. The way the Bluetooth was wired in was interesting. I mean, it worked, so I never fixed it, but it definitely seemed unusual.
Yeah, I'm gonna use this as a reason when people ask me why I don't like Volkswagen Audi Group anymore. My pal had a car, right? That's why I don't fucking like it.
Yeah, totally. I know someone who's experienced ownership.
Yeah, I've had a few of them myself. I did not enjoy it. Oh. Do you know, actually, just while I'm bashing Volkswagen Audi Group, I am going to pull us back to the original topic. But I have to say, when I was listening to the last episode back, it's amazing how much dislike I have for the Fiesta ST gang.
Yes. Yeah, you do have beef with them. I actually walked past a Focus ST today, and I wouldn't say it was a particularly like untidy example. It was fine, but like as soon as I saw it, I thought of you.
Really?
Yeah, and I thought of like how much you would dislike it. And then I thought back to the time where I've actually driven a Focus ST, and I wasn't super into it either, to be honest.
No.
But yeah, man, like your hatred for the ST has like it makes me now think of you when I see them.
That's incredible. Oh, fucking hell.
So yeah, you're gonna have a go at the Volkswagen Automotive Group.
Yeah, I've always been having a go at them, man. Ever since the ubiquity of diesels and it became fashionable to own an Audi, I've been harping on them a little bit.
Yeah, what was that when like everyone wanted an Audi?
I don't know, because it's been replaced by BM now. It's like
Kinda has, I.
everyone wants a diesel 3 Series, and it's like, fucking hell, if everyone's going to buy a 3 Series, at least buy a good one, a petrol powered one.
Absolutely.
But yeah, no, it's a bit wild.
There was definitely a period where like the Audi was the brand of choice for knobhead driver. Like just generally like Audis would be driven in the most narcissistic ways.
Yeah, no, definitely they are like, I thought for a while Skoda was going to overtake everything for that driver as well, but it really didn't. And like, but Skoda's stayed consistent. Like, there's the same amount of dickheads drive Skodas as the same amount of dickheads drove Skodas 10 years ago. Like, the consistency with that brand is unbelievable.
Yeah, they must appeal to something else. They're pan demographic.
Yeah, do you know the thing that I don't like about them as well is they appeal to diesel drivers. Like, as somebody that owns like a petrol VRS Octavia, I'm like, yeah, actually, I can see why. I don't like it because it's Volkswagen Audi Group product. I wouldn't own it myself, but I can see why because they do what they say on the tin pretty well, right?
Yeah.
But see someone that owns the diesels and it's like dirty diesels, yo, and it's like, oh, fuck off. Really?
Fair enough. Honestly, I did not really enjoy my time owning a diesel car, or driving one for like a long period of time. And also the diesels that I was driving were kind of more suited to diesel engines as well. They weren't like trying to be too sporty.
Yeah, that's fair.
But yeah, I'm not a fan of like the smoke and all of that. The idea of like rolling coal just looks a bit shit.
Like if ever there was something like I just don't get it. I just don't get it at all. This actually kind of segues me back to the next question I was going to ask, related to the point that we started on like 20 minutes ago.
Yep.
Was there a moment, like a holy fuck moment, where it's like, I'm a car guy? Like, did you have like an epiphany, like just a moment of self-awareness where you're like, fuck, I'm a car guy? And that actually kind of makes me quite fucking weird compared to all the people around me. Or anything like that.
Yeah, do you know what? Again, it's so hard. I can't put really my finger on it because, like, for all of my memory, I've always been obsessed with cars. Like, it was like I was so obsessed when I was little that it's kind of like it made a lot of sense that I would just also be really into cars when I was older, and I'd also be obsessed.
Right, hold on.
Like, it wasn't a surprise to anyone. I didn't have to come out as a car guy. It was pretty fucking obvious already.
Fair enough. Right. Well, let me rephrase it then, because I think this, because I actually haven't asked it. I'm like, actually, I kind of was into cars, like from the get go. But was there a time when you realised that it's not like usual? Like everyone else sees it as just this method of getting from A to B, but you're like, no, it's something to be enjoyed. Like, was there a moment where you're like, why the fuck is not everybody else like loving cars? Like, why? What's going on here?
Absolutely. Like, absolutely. I totally. I think one of the first kind of like experiences of like, oh, not everyone really likes this, and finding people that are kind of into cars is actually quite rare. Was even like when, what kind of, because like, when did I meet you, Colin? When you were like 10?
Yeah, man, it would have been like primary five, something like that.
God, it would have been younger than that.
Yeah.
Like, you were probably the first person that I kind of knew that was actually into cars as well, if you know what I mean. Like, how we were all little and stuff like that, but then they're like, oh, that's cool. But like, you were the person that actually like cared more, if you know what I mean, wanted to like do car stuff, talk about cars.
Yeah.
And
That's
like,
fair.
honestly, I mean, that was pretty. I didn't really know that many more people that were like really into cars, if you know what I mean. Even like, where we were from and stuff like that. No one really cared.
Yeah. Because like thinking back, the only person that like when we were in school, like primary school anyway, that I can think of is like if I was to look and know they would be into cars, was the guy that crashed his 350Z on the big roundabout.
Oh, was that orange 350Z?
Yeah.
Oh,
Because
I
he
remember
also
walking past that all the time and being like, I don't like that car at all, but it's cool that he's got it.
yeah, because he had an Impreza beforehand, right? And I don't
Oh,
even know what this guy's name is. Like, if I was to look at him in the street now, I wouldn't even know I was looking at the guy. But
nah,
like
totally.
back then, like cycling past his house or whatever, you'd be like, he's into cars. He
Yeah,
likes cars.
yeah, absolutely.
And that's like one person out of the whole village.
To be fair, there was another car in that village that I was a big fan of, and as upset as it'll make you, it was a VW Corrado in a kind of like midnighty kind of purple, like a really deep kind of purple, and it had a set of like flat 5-spoke aftermarket wheels on it with a bit of lip.
Right?
And quite a reasonably, not obsessively low, but a reasonably low profile. And like, that's maybe not to my taste anymore, but I remember walking past that car constantly, and I loved its shape, like its boxiness and stuff like that. And the color was beautiful, and thinking, fuck, I really want one of them. And it was a VR6.
Really?
It was like, it was a good one.
I get that. Like, it doesn't tickle my pickle, but I do get the Corrado thing. They are a cool looking machine.
Absolutely. I've come close to buying a Corrado before.
Really?
Yeah. I didn't in the end because it was quite a lot for what was quite an old German car. Like, and that, like, not, doesn't sound kind of silly because it's a bit of a classic, but also like I've owned kind of old cars of that kind of year, and they just need loads of work. That's just what they need.
Yeah.
And it was already quite expensive for like what it was, if you know what I mean. So, this is a bad move.
And the other issue you have with something like that, especially when it gets to that age, because they were around when everything was properly affordable as well, is that it's had a hard fucking life.
Yes.
It has not puttled to the shops and back twice a week. It's been fucking kicked on.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. When it's been so ragged that the owner isn't even comfortable saying, "Oh, it's like showroom quality," they just don't mention anything about it in the advert.
Yes, that's it exactly. Like, if there's no mention to it at all, assume that it's a fucking negative point.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Condition not mentioned, age not mentioned, mileage not mentioned.
Yeah, it's wild. Like, back to the question though. I still struggle with realizing that not everyone's into cars. Like, it's really weird as well because like it could be something really simple. It's like will be the cars that I'm selling at the minute, for example, right? They're all like little 1 liter things, 5-speed gearboxes. econo boxes,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm punting them out quite quickly at the minute. And it's just like, why would anyone buy this? Like, this is just a white good. Why? Why does anyone want it? Like, what possible reasoning could there be to buy this?
I can understand that, but like people do. People just want product, and like for me, I just don't talk. I will not approach someone about cars voluntarily anymore because I just like. I honestly just can't like. I just can't really be bothered with like the blank expression. Sometimes you often get back, or like the general disinterest. Like it's maybe easier just to talk about something that's like a little bit more kind of like general.
Yeah.
Because like I was at like an event and I was talking to a guy in the car park while I was having a cigarette, and we were like kind of idly talking about cars, and I mentioned, someone was asking if I still had my car, and he immediately asked, "Is that an N54, a 55?" And I was like, "Aye," and he was like, "I've got an N54," and I was like, "All right, cool, yeah, that's cool," but then like stupidly, I didn't continue talking to him. I just kind of moved on, if you know what I mean. But like, that was a car guy there.
Yeah. Like,
Like,
as soon as somebody says a chassis number, well, a chassis code or an engine code, it's like, oh, hello.
he definitely knew a bit about his BMW, like for sure. But yeah, like, and so that's the thing that kind of made me sad, because I was like, God, I'm so unused to talking to people about cars that I just meet. I'm so unprepared for it mentally that I like literally didn't even notice that I was talking to a car guy. Like I talked with him and I was like, all right, just move on, kind of.
Yeah. But I mean, it's valid though, because it is genuinely rare. Like, admittedly, I've maybe had a skewed experience of this because of being in the motor trade, and everyone in the motor trade kind of starts off being into cars, even if they get really jaded about it later on.
Yeah.
But yeah, like, it's one of the things I really like about the shows, man, is because it doesn't matter who you talk to, everyone's there on a common interest, and it's so refreshing.
It is nice, actually. Yeah, it's nice. it's like it's like it's like a little playground for car enthusiasts to all get together.
That's it, man. Yeah. No, well, yeah, that's pretty cool though. This is something that's been weighing on me, like, because do you know what it is, right? The reason I asked the question, like, what got us into cars? It's like, because we're doing the automotive culture podcast. It's almost like if you were listening, you'd be like, but who the fuck are you? Like,
I mean, it's a valid question, isn't it?
why did you pick this subject? And it's like, it's very easy to just say, oh well, I'm a car guy, but really, origin stories matter, you know?
Yeah, totally. Totally. I mean, I would say that your origin story is that you spent a lot of time with your granddad, who like was himself really into cars and very active in like what he did with them.
Yeah.
So like you were kind of constantly surrounded by it.
Yeah. It was very much immersed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Uh,
absolutely, absolutely. Do you know what I was remembering the other day, just as a total aside? Do you remember that trailer that he built you for the for the lawnmower that was motorized, but you couldn't like it wasn't a sit on, it was just a motorized one.
oh yeah.
The big old fashioned one with the two massive wheels.
Yep, that big Allen scythe.
Yeah, and he built you a trailer on it that was like kind of articulated so you could just like turn it.
Yeah, man.
That was really cool.
That was cool. That was the fucking most evil contraption ever made.
That's hilariously dangerous.
Well, like, actually insane. The danger level that was presented with that. Ah, fuck! I miss those days though.
Yeah, absolutely. Just kind of when you've just got no idea and you're just like, fuck it, let's do that.
Yeah, it's like just fucking pick a direction, full send. That's what we're doing. Class.
So yeah. So yeah, that's like kind of your upbringing, and like for me it was definitely just an actual obsession with them. I used to like collect toy cars. I loved all the kind of different kinds of them. Like I remember like just it was just cars, and then like when video games came along and you could get cars on the video game, I was like, right, well, racing games, driving games, anything like that I'm super into.
Yes. Definitely. Like, one of the fucking crowning memories of childhood was Gran Turismo.
Yeah, absolutely. I remember getting a PS1 for Christmas and playing Gran Turismo 2, I think it was actually. But
Yep.
like playing that on Christmas Day and just being obsessed, overwhelmed with what was going on. I was like,
Yeah.
this is amazing.
Awestruck.
I totally, yeah.
Do you know what, right? I bet that strikes a chord with quite a lot of people from our generation.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a proper core memory. Like, oh god, I mean, I even remember the first car that I bought on Gran Turismo 2 from the used car market to start off my career, and it was the one with the biggest power figure. So it was I think it was a Mitsubishi Galant,
Right?
because it was like 4-wheel drive, and it was like the turbo one. And I remember being really shit at the game. Like I remember ricocheting off every single invisible wall those tracks had to offer, and like only winning the first kind of few races just by having a car which was way quicker than everything else.
Yeah.
Like I distinctly remember having this moment where I realized that braking was not necessarily a bad thing in a racing game. Like, and I
Yeah.
actually started to use it and be like, oh my gosh, if you slow down, you don't hit the wall and you can go around the corner faster.
It's like a total fucking epiphany as well. Oh!
It was a total epiphany for me. So that kind of started my like playing like racing games kind of and getting a bit better at them and not being terrible. Because I do think I've got better at them over time.
That's fair. You know that the very first racing game that I actually properly enjoyed was, oh my god, it was Colin McRae Rally. I can't remember the number, but it was incredible. And then the next one that I actually loved was Forza Motorsport 2.
Yeah.
And that was peak Forza for me, like.
So for me, peak Forza will always be Motorsport 4. I sunk an ungodly amount of hours into that game. That was so much fun to dick about on.
Yeah, actually, you know what? It's a toss up between 4 and 2. Now that you said that, because 4 was the one with Top Gear doing all the Forza Vista commentary and stuff, wasn't
It
it?
had the Top Gear track. You could get the fucking like you get small cars. You could get the Humvee. Like you get loads of variety. I loved the fact that you had to start in total chod as well, like fucking Chevrolet Spark, or I
Yeah,
think I picked a Nissan Micra or something like that.
I'm pretty
Uh,
sure I went for the Honda Fit.
oh yeah, the Fit's just jazz, isn't it?
Yeah, that's it.
Oh man, classic. Of course you would have went for the Japanese brand. Why did I
Well,
pick a Micra though?
you
Fuck.
know, here's the thing, Tom. Given the choices that that game presented with me, sure as fuck I wouldn't have taken the Fiesta.
Yeah, no, I wasn't taking the Fiesta either. No
No,
thanks. So
but yeah.
yeah, I mean, Forza games were absolutely brilliant. Like I still kind of play the Forzas every now and again, but like I'm just kind of a bit bored of them.
Yeah, no, I get that. Like Forza Motorsport, I'm well into at the minute. The most recent one, the one on Game Pass, I'm really enjoying that. But the career mode needs more, you know?
Yeah, yeah. I remember I was kind of a bit bored by it, to be honest. Like I didn't feel that the races were particularly exciting. And like it didn't run all that well when I last played it. It was a bit stuttery on my machine.
Was it?
Yeah, so I kind of sacked it, which is weird though because like the Horizon games run really well for me. I have absolutely no problem with them, and I quite enjoyed the Horizon games, but I kind of again got a bit tired of them.
No, it's fair. There's not a lot of replayability in them. I don't get people who can sit there and play them for like years on end. It just doesn't make sense.
Yeah, I think you have to play them online consistently for that, and I never really got on that well with online racing on Forza Horizon.
Do you know the problem with that, right? And the real life analog for this would if you filled a track day with everyone out of a Tesco's car park.
It's actually a little bit like that, yeah.
You're gonna have like the top kind of 2% of the field that actually want to race. So they're not gonna do anything when the race starts. They're just gonna sit there and not accelerate. and then the rest of the mob are going to go absolutely flying into the first corner and just cause absolute fucking carnage and a massive melee, and everyone goes off the track in a massive crash.
Yeah. There is absolutely nothing worse than being mid-pack on like a fucking racing race.
Oh,
You
yeah.
just get punted about. It's like right at the back, easy. There's no one around. You just have to watch people when you pass them. At the front, perfect. But in the middle, that's danger zone right there.
Yeah, it's like being in a really aggressive mosh pit.
Yeah.
People aren't like running around having fun. People are just trying to kick fuck out of you.
Absolutely. Every single person you encounter online in Horizon, you just have to assume that they're going to try and punt you off the track in some capacity. Everyone gets treated with extreme suspicion.
That's it. Yeah, fuck. We've went off topic a lot here.
Have a little bit, yeah. We have a little.
It's cool though. Well, I kind of think that what got us into cars has been covered.
Yeah, totally. I mean, like, I suppose the other kind of thing to cover there is like, nah, honestly, man, it doesn't matter. We're good.
No, you sure?
Yeah, 100%.
Fair enough, dude. Well, the next one, that's been on my mind is like automotive oddities, and this is quite a wide-reaching thing. And it's so wide-reaching, I almost don't know where to start. But one of the things that always struck me as unusual was, why did they make the Reliant Robin?
Now, I actually know why they made the Reliant Robin.
Right.
So it's to do with UK law. Technically, that's not a car, I don't think. It's like a tricycle, essentially, which means you don't need to have a certain class of license. Well, essentially, when it was designed, you didn't need a certain class of license. You could drive it on like a moped license or whatever.
Yeah, you blocked off reverse, essentially, and you could drive it on a bike license. But the thing is, you can drive a quad bike on a bike license. So why would you bother making something with 4 points of contact with the ground, which is inherently quite stable, into something that likes to fall over?
But if they'd given it a roof with 4 wheels, it probably wouldn't have been classed as a bike.
But
that's the problem. It needs the 3 wheels to be a bike in the law.
Yeah, but like put the single wheel at the back and put the steering wheels on the twin axle. You know, like what are they called?
Like the Morgans.
Yes, like that. So that when you turn, you don't immediately have this momentum that just wants to keep going in a direction where there's absolutely no fucking resistance to it.
But those Morgans are quite unstable as well, you know?
Yeah, but they don't at least tip over all the time, maybe.
Yeah, I'm not so sure about that one. But like, I mean, I do agree the Reliant Robin you can tip, but like I think it is more stable than the TV may have portrayed.
Really?
Yeah, definitely. I'm pretty sure they put some weight in the side of that to make it roll over much better. Like I think you definitely can roll them by like you're turning sharply and stuff, but like you can also help balance them out a little bit by like, you know, putting a weight on the other side.
Fair enough.
Because they always roll over to the drivers. They always roll over on the driver's side because that's where the weight is over.
Well, I've actually got a little story about this, right? And it's my granddad. So way back in the day, right, he bought one.
Oh, aye.
And he drove it to his work, and he said it was a bit shit, but it was livable. And then he left his work and drove home, and it was the strongest fucking winds imaginable. And his actual words were, and this was not a man who was like, he wasn't a shrieking violet, you know.
Yeah.
He was down to roll. And his actual words to me were, I genuinely thought I was going to fucking die. And do you know what he'd done? And I'm pretty sure there's an old black and white photo of this kicking about somewhere, is he drove the car straight into the front garden, got out of it, never even shut the door, and just went in the house. And it was in the paper for sale the next day. And it didn't even move. When somebody came to buy it, they're like, yeah, it's parked out the front, take it a fucking drive. If you like it, come back. And he says somebody bought it off him within like half a day. Like, folk were phoning up about it. Loads of folk phoning up, and he was just like, I don't know why they want it. It's fucking crap. He says it was all over the road, strong wind, and it's like fucking away up, like, and yeah, it always confused me. It's just like, that is an oddity right there.
Honestly, kind of ties back into the point that some people just see them as like a thing to get them about. They don't really like care. I mean, they probably will notice that it's sketchy as fucking terrifying in high wind, but like maybe it's just not something they think about.
Yeah, I suppose that's fair. Like,
it comes back to the car person and non-car person, doesn't it?
It does. I have one other oddity here. Strangely enough, all my oddities are to do with the number of wheels a car has.
Is this one going to be a six-wheeler?
It's the six-wheelers, right? Now, there's 3 examples that immediately kick off to my mind. So I used to work at Penman's, which was a specialist coach building company.
Aye.
And they built a load of can. Do you know the a bit like Overfinch? Like, they do
I 100% no can, yeah.
questionable things regarding taste.
Yeah, they do tacky add-ons for your swanky car.
Yeah, that's it. So they got like 6 Range Rover Defenders, no, Land Rover Defenders, and they were like, we want to make them 6-wheel drive, and we've got to put an LS1 V8 in them. And Penman's went, sure, we'll take your money. And apparently they were absolute scrap.
Yeah, I don't think it works very well, this whole 6-wheel drive for a kind of car or a Jeep.
No, like, I mean...
There's the G-Wagon one.
This was the other one I was going to say. There's a G-Wagon you can get, and they look badass. Like, if you're wanting something to invade a small country with, a fleet of those would be a good start. You know?
Yeah, the problem with those kind of cars, though, is that you never invade a country particularly quickly, which means they're usually shit at speed.
Yeah, that's the problem. And then there's the one that I would actually buy, right? Like, I saw this and instantly fell in love with it because it was just like a miniature truck, right? And I think it was Saudi Arabia it came from. It was like a Saudi market Toyota Land Cruiser, and it was from the factory, 6-wheel drive, legitimately, like, and it had a big flatbed on it, and it looked incredible.
Was it a dual cab?
No, it wasn't a dual cab. It was a Land Cruiser, but it was like twice the length of a Land Cruiser, right? And it was like the old boxy style. I don't think they make it in like the new kind of jelly moldy shaped one, like the actual aerodynamic one. This was just a big box.
Aye.
And this was just like, it was just like big boxy cab with like a big V8 diesel engine in it, and then the 6-wheel drive, and it just looked incredible. Like, as something to cruise across a desert in, I'd be totally on board, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It just struck me as as a little bit of an oddity.
I'll grant you, they totally are oddities, actually. I mean, like, I find the Reliant Robin to be less of an oddity. In general, I just think that's like, it's a bit weird, but it's like, I understand why that kind of came about.
Yeah.
There's been a fair few kind of 3-wheeled or like kind of similar layout vehicles in the past, you know? Like, I'm pretty sure like the Peel and the Trident P50 are 3-wheelers, and like the BMW Isetta, I think, was actually like had 2 front wheels quite close together. But like, it's the same kind of idea.
Yeah, they're proper oddities as well.
To be fair, maybe I'm just listing a very small selection of oddities.
No, but like, they're really cool. Like, because like I think it was the Isetta. Like, you opened the entire front of the car.
Aye, that was the only door was the front, and you had to like kind of navigate around the steering column.
Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah.
Like, that's quite cool.
That's a weird car, isn't it?
It was. Do you know the other one as well? There was a fucking hell. You know Spiker?
Aye, yeah, I do.
They're quite an odd car company, but there's another Danish company. They're all a bit mental over there, aren't they? It was either Danish or Dutch, and It was like a freewheeler, right? But you sat in like a cockpit, and it was literally like the part that you sat in was shaped like the cockpit of an aeroplane. And when you
Oh, is it the
turn,
one that leans?
yeah, and it leans. And I always thought they were quite cool.
To be fair, yeah, that's a weird vehicle. Have you seen like the kind of like these like tiny little box kind of quadra car things, like the Citroen Amy?
No. Oh, like a Renault Zoe as well.
No, is the Zoe not like an actual proper car? These are like,
Yeah, it is. Toyota made one as well, didn't they? And it's literally like a little pod that you sit in.
yeah, is the Toyota one called like the IQ?
No, that was the Aston Martin Signet. That was
Oh, right, yeah, of
yeah, the little
course.
washing machine.
That is actually an oddity as well.
That is. Do you know, actually, I had the displeasure of MOT in one of them once.
Really, I've never seen one in real life at all.
And it was barely big enough to go on the ramp. Like, it was almost inside the ramp. And like, I opened the boot, and I was like, "Is this actually the boot?" It was literally 6 inches.
Aye, it was an Igo or something like that underneath.
No, the Igo was massive compared to those. I'm sure it was a standalone chassis, man.
No, I think it shared it with a Toyota of some kind.
Right.
Yeah, maybe I'm wrong though.
I mean, an Igo is massive in comparison. Because I remember because this actually had no back seats as well. Like, it was literally just the two seats in the front, and then there was like a 6 inch long boot
Like strip.
compartment. Like, honestly, if you bought a new pair of trainers, you wouldn't get them in the shoebox.
Yeah, I know exactly the kind. The Signet was inspired by Toyota's IQ.
Ah, right.
So yeah, they are very, very similar. It's probably the same platform. It's just Aston Martin did a bit of a redesign.
Yeah. No, that's fair. Do you know, actually, the whole reason for the Signet, right? This is amazing. And what I love more than anything was the Italians' response to this. So the reason Aston Martin came out with the Signet was to drop the average CO2 level of all their cars. It was like some European law came out, meaning the average CO emissions of your entire vehicle fleet had to be below a certain level.
I do remember that. Yeah.
And the Italians, like Ferrari, Lamborghini, what's a good number? And they're like, a low number. They're like, oh, okay, one. They're like, what? One CO2. That's it. Nothing more. So all they did was fucking lie, and they got away with it. Like, I don't remember reading anything about it. Like, oh, Ferrari's been fined £3 million because their average CO value is high. It was just like totally swept under the rug. Nothing happened at all. Which was class. But yeah.
Oh man, right. I'm gonna have to send you this link, right?
Right.
I found a Signet on Auto Trader. And the great thing about the advert is apparently it's the rare 4-seater option. How the hell do you fit 4 seats in that car?
Fuck that, mate. I just saw the price.
Oh yeah, the price is wild, isn't it?
Is it fucking made of platinum? Sorry, listeners. So, for the measly sum of £39,500, you can have what is essentially a Toyota IQ in a frock with 56,000 miles on a 12 plate.
Yeah.
Why though? Why? This is what I don't understand, right? So, and this is why I don't understand, like, the interior is fucking gaudy.
Yeah, he's not great. Was the one that you MOT'd, was that a 4-seater or a 2-seater? Do you remember?
No, 2-seater, man. There was nobody even attempted to put seats in the back of that. Like, those seats literally go past the B pillar.
Aye, that's a snug car. I would say that's a bit of an oddity. In comparison to that price-wise, I've just sent you a random advert for a Toyota IQ with the same motor.
Yeah, it's £5,500.
And even that, I think, is probably maybe a bit steep for that car.
That is definitely steep. I would not do that. I mean, for example, for just £3,000 more than that, you could get a 2018 Renault Clio with like 35,500 miles in about a month's time in the Dumfries area. Sorry,
we
I
all know what a Berkula is.
Yeah, no, that's ridiculous. What else can you think of for automotive oddities, though?
I can think of a lot of weird cars that have existed over time. Like one of my absolute favorite weird cars, in fact, it's a little genre of weird car, is the Amphicar. You know, the old, was it like late 50s or 60s kind of car? I'm not 100% sure when it was released, but like the one where it was essentially, had the little switchable drive shaft where you could have a little propeller going and, you could boat around.
Yes.
That was the Amphicar. And there's been a few couple of like more modern kind of prototypes of the same idea. One of them used like an MX-5 kind of platform. Essentially gave it like a hull, and there's just like a hull that wheels fold out of, and then when you go in the water they fold back up, and it becomes like a kind of car jet ski kind of thing. I mean, that's pretty sick, to be honest.
I like that as well. As well, there's the flying cars. Have you seen that?
Oh, I love me some insane flying car videos. Yeah, totally.
The wings basically fold up along the side of it, and it's got like a big pod at the back that's the landing gear, and it supports the tail boom and the wings. And then you stop and you basically pull the wings out and they click into place. And it's like a proper fucking airplane. And there's a big propeller. It's like a twin boom design, like a P-38 Lightning, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the propeller is on the back of the car in between the two booms. So it's blowing over the airfoil at the back.
Yeah.
And the wings fold out and you can take off. Like that's
Is that the one that was like advertised in like the 70s or 80s or something with the Ford Pinto, where they like reverse the Ford Pinto in?
No, man, this was a recent thing.
Right, okay. Because I've seen a similar kind of style of like flying car, but it was a one where the idea was you literally just drove your car up to the wings and then just took off. And I love the naivety of that, being like, yeah, just this like 2-ton steel car, we'll just attach it to these like lightweight folding out wings.
Yeah,
this one's actually
wild, like.
But the thing with this is, we're talking about this is a plane that can do a bit of carring.
Yeah, like it's where do you draw the line?
Exactly, because I think that they fall into two categories. One is a car which has been like adapted in some way to fly, but it's still like mainly a car. Like the idea of like pulling your car in and like bolting wings onto it and then like flying off, or like your car being like kind of a car but then wings fold out of it in some way, something like that. Or one where it's like, no, that's actually just a plane that you take the wings off and drive it about a bit.
Yeah, no, it's true. Like, on the subject of flying, right? Do you know, this wasn't long ago, this maybe a year ago, if that. I went on Facebook Marketplace, right? And there was a mini light, like Nelly out of James Bond.
Microlight.
Yeah, microlight for sale.
Oh, wait, no. Was Nelly not a gyroscopter?
No, it was a gyrocopter. This is a microlight, sorry. And it was for sale for like $3,000. And I legitimately came so close to buying it. And Bex being the voice of fucking reason as usual. That's not a dig, actually. That sounded way more negative than it needed to be. Bex being the voice of reason was like, you do realise you need a pilot's license to fly. I'm like, don't be silly. It's just an engine with a fucking fabric wing on top. I was like, I'll just buy it and tool about in it. Go flying in that. And she's like, no, that's totally not how this fucking works, Colin. You can't just buy a fucking airplane and just start tooling about. It's not allowed. I was like, what? I mean, it's not an airplane, though. It's a fucking minor inconvenience. Like, it's not a Boeing 747, is it?
Oh, it's all fun and games until you get hit by a plane.
Yeah. And I was like, but how cool would that be? Like, just fucking push the microlight out down the road and away we go, away, flying about. And like, aye. But no, I was fucking given a reality check and basically showing what would happen if I got caught flying it, which was that you would spend many, many, many days inside the big house.
Yeah, it might be hard to get away from that with just a warning.
Yeah, because apparently they take like things to do with flying and licenses quite seriously.
Yeah, I think as well, it would get so much worse if you accidentally strayed somewhere where you potentially shouldn't have strayed as well.
Yeah, which, given the amount of military exercises and stuff that goes on around here, could be quite easily done.
God, Jesus, it'd be really grim to be a civilian casualty of a military training exercise because they shot down your micro light. Fuck. I'm glad you didn't buy that.
I'm heartbroken that I didn't, man. I was proper, like, honest to God, man. I was like so close to phoning this guy up and like, if I go and view this, I'm buying it. Like, if I make an appointment here, I've bought a micro light. This is happening. But yeah, so no, that's my little. I nearly conquered the skies.
There's still time.
There is still time.
Have you ever been flying?
No, but it's on my bucket list to learn to fly. So
you don't even have to learn, honestly. They'll just take you up and you get to like fly about for a bit.
Yeah, but I want to take myself up.
Oh no, that's I mean, cha-ching, like that's big money. You've got to put a fair bit of cash behind getting lessons and stuff.
Yeah, I didn't say I was going to do it tomorrow though. Yeah, no, like that's the thing, because like that was actually my career path. Was I wanted to be a fighter pilot. I went to the RAF office and they went, "Your knees are fucked and you're too tall."
And then have to like put an extra tall dome over the top for you.
So they were basically like, "So fuck off, because you can't pass the fitness test with knackered knees and you're too tall." And I was like, "Class." So then I went to commercial pilot training and they went, "Fuck off, you're too poor." So yeah, it's mental because you can actually get funding to do the degree part of it. So you can get a degree that is fucking useless without having 100k to do the license.
Yeah, absolutely. Or finding like somewhere you can like get some hours in for the license.
Yeah,
cheaper.
Because it's like that's the thing. I was like, why would you offer a degree and then not offer the? I mean, it's pointless. And they're like, yeah, nobody ever gets the degree because people that have the money to do it pay for the fucking education. They're not bothered about it.
Yeah.
If your mum and dad have 100k to fucking spunk on you getting a license to fly a plane, I'm gonna assume you don't have money problems.
Yeah, no, absolutely, absolutely.
But yeah. Sorry, back to automotive oddities.
That's totally okay. I mean, like, I am not that interested in flying cars. Like, I love seeing them because I think they're all insane and silly, and I don't really think flying cars will ever really take off because I know what we are like on the roads already. I don't want to add an extra axis of direction to that. Honestly, Can you imagine having to check your 360-degree blind spots? Like. Yeah. Fuck that. Everyone would just immediately crash into each other. We can't have that. It's not okay.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, cars that are boats, okay, now you've got me. I'm now interested. I really like the idea of that.
What we really need to do though, Tom, is go the whole hog and have cars that turn into submarines, because then we can have the chaos of all fucking 6 axes of direction that we would have flying. Except now we get to drown as well.
I was wondering where you were going with that, but that was, that's a great idea. So submarines it is. We've already got a prototype in the Lotus Esprit from
James Bond.
James Bond, yeah. I mean, that seems perfect. It even had missiles.
Yeah. Do you know, actually, this isn't... I mean, it kind of is an oddity, right? Because cars are the only things that guns don't really go with. I
potentially disagree with that, but I'm going to let you finish.
So, like when you watch, for example, right, Death Race is a film. Hold on, did they have guns in Death Race?
I think there might be guns in Death Race. Certainly
sure
in the remake, I would say. I don't know, but I can't really remember about the first Death Race.
So when you see a cartoon, right, or just in an action film, nondescript, probably one from the 80s because they're all from about there, and you see just this mounted gun on the bonnet of a car, and it's like they're like absolutely pounding machine gun bullets at this car in front. And I'm just like, that doesn't work though. Like, it works on an airplane, like, because you've got such a fine, like, degree of movement. But, like, the average person struggles to park. So how the hell would anyone manage to aim a machine gun accurately like that? Like, it just never made sense to me. The only one that I kind of got, but I still thought was ridiculous, was in James Bond. And I think it was Tomorrow Never Dies, when the bad guy had the green Jaguar XKR.
Oh, the ice one, aye.
Yeah, and the little vents on the bonnet like slid back and two little shotguns popped out and they started tracking targets.
Mm-hmm.
But it just never seems to work for me.
Okay, that is fair. I think guns and cars do go together quite nicely. Like, but I mean, obviously, like technicals. You got yourself a pickup, you got yourself a Jeep, you got yourself a gun. You mount that gun on the Jeep or the pickup, you got yourself a technical.
Oh, no, sorry. Let me rephrase. Guns in the manner I was describing don't work. A technical, though, yes. Like, I mean, some of the stuff that's been created in Ukraine, like, I genuinely saw a Mercedes SL, like, and not an old one, like a relative, like a mid-2000s one, with a fucking machine gun mounted on the back of it on a big tripod. Like, somebody technicaled a Roadster. That was fucking cool. But, like, the guns mounted to the bonnets and, like, all that crap, it just doesn't gel for me. I'm just like, no, I'm not buying it.
I mean, it may look cool, but it's ultimately not massively effective. It's quite hard to aim with an entire car.
Yeah, like that's my main problem with it, is just the practicalities of it just don't work. Ooh, there's another automotive oddity. You know the Lincoln? Well, you know Lincoln, the town car.
Aye.
I believe you could legitimately buy one of those with a hot tub on the back.
Ah, yeah. I don't know if any car ever came with a hot tub from factory, but I've definitely seen it done many a time. The old hot tub in the back.
Yeah.
Do you know what, limos in general, not a fan of. Like, I don't really get the appeal.
No, I'm not a fan, I have to say. Like, I always, like, if I needed to move that many people, I wouldn't get a car. I'd get a minibus. I'd get something designed for like that use instead of something that's just a massive compromise and doesn't really work.
Yeah, I mean the sensible choice is the executive like minibus, isn't it? Because limos, let's be honest, limos are not luxury. They're kind of just tacky.
Yeah, I was going to say that they're very Chelsea.
I feel like honestly they feel very Vegas.
Yeah.
And Vegas is not like what I'd necessarily consider a massively like classy place.
No, definitely not. Yeah, I'm inclined to agree. I mean, because the thing is as well, like a minibus just does it better. Because if you're going to an airport with like a stag do, you can get a booze bus, which is basically a nightclub in a minibus.
Aye.
And then if you're going to, I don't know, like a meeting with a load of bigwigs, you can get like an executive one with TVs and that in it, and it's like all your laptop charging points and shit. You know, like there's so many things that they're tailored to do.
Absolutely,
So
yeah. If you can tolerate being in a bus, the bus is the option to go with, which is another conclusion we can definitely draw.
yeah, I'm happy with that. I'm not going to argue that point at all.
Honestly, how did we get here? Oh, we were talking about automotive oddities, of course.
Yeah.
I'm really aware that I actually haven't mentioned any automotive oddities, and I'm genuinely struggling to think of anything that I. Oh, actually, do you know what I remember? But again, this comes back to your Reliant Robin thing, which was I remember there used to be someone that had. It was a trike, which was a motorbike front end, and then two kind of back wheels in like a kind of wider pattern, like quite a wider spacing. So like a trike, but the back wheels were quite small. And the back of it opened up into a ramp, and there was someone, I think it was a guy, I'm not sure, had a wheelchair, and they would like roll up the ramp, close themselves in, get kind of like buckled in, and then they could drive the motorbike like little trike, but just to be sitting in their wheelchair. I think it was called like a nippy or something like that. But I always thought that was really sick. Like it's like actually quite a slick maneuver. Like just going like you roll up to your bike, open the door, roll into it, and then just boost off. Like I actually really liked that, and that was a bit of an automotive oddity. I've not really seen too many of them kicking about.
That was cool, and I remember seeing one as well. There was one used to kick about locally. On that same vein, cars with disability controls. Now, it's not an oddity so much like an oddity that, oh my God, does that exist? It's more, have you ever had the experience of driving with hand controls?
No, I haven't actually.
It is fucking wild. So like you've got a lever, right? And the thing that gets you is if you're not ready for it and your feet are in a normal position, when you brake, you'll trap your foot under the pedal.
Wait, how? Why has it got pedals?
Because it's a normal car, but they put this lever on the dash. So I can't remember how it goes.
Oh, so the
Push
lever
forward.
works the actual physical pedal.
Yeah, so you push the lever
That's so lazy.
forward.
I thought they would have just like coded it to have some actual hand controls, because everything's, drive-by
Wire.
software now. Yeah.
Well, maybe now you might be able to get something like that. But certainly, like the ones I've experienced, they've all been mechanical. So you push the lever away from you to accelerate, and then you pull it push it away from you to brake, and pull it towards you to accelerate. And there's a little toggle switch on top that works your indicators.
Wow, that's absolutely amazing. I can't believe that. That's crazy.
It's absolutely gnarly to drive. Like whenever I jumped in one when I was MOT or mechanic, and I'd be like, oh, score, and just driving about with it was class. But yeah, no. So they're more of an oddity. Like once you experience it, you're like, fucking hell, that's a bit mental. But like, not that they exist.
Absolutely, yeah. Absolutely. Like I bet it is. I bet it does take quite a bit of getting used to driving with hand controls for sure.
Yeah, it's a bit like the first time you try left foot braking.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I remember trying that. Yeah.
Did you stop very suddenly by any chance?
I remember more strongly the facial expression of the truck driver who was in the other lane, coming towards me. Yeah. Because all he saw was me slam on my brakes. And I think he was like, why the fuck did that happen?
That's incredible.
He just shot himself, basically. I think he thought something had ran out into the road. But no, I was just having a little go at left foot braking.
Yeah.
Braking with all the left foot.
Do you know, in this same vein, CVT gearboxes.
Yeah, I've never had the privilege of trying the ultimate gearbox, as it were.
Oh, they're not the ultimate gearbox. Fucking horrible.
Yeah, no, I was definitely trolling there.
Do you know what, right? See if you ever get the chance to drive a Lexus hybrid. In fact, any hybrid, but the Lexus ones are really peculiar, especially the fast ones like the GS450H. So you plant
Do they have a gearbox still? Do they have like a shifter?
Yeah, like you can select like drive and 1, 2, 3 and reverse and park, like an automatic.
Aye.
So what they do, right, is because it's a continuously variable transmission.
Yeah.
The engine gets to like its most efficient point for revs, and then the gears change, and the engine just stays static. So there's no like accelerating engine noises or anything. The engine just stays at a set RPM.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the most fun things about them is you can go as fast in reverse as you can forwards. I shit you not, you can do over a ton in reverse with a CVT gearbox. So
I think I have driven a CVT gearbox then.
Right.
Because my mum had a Lexus 200H.
Yep, that would have had one.
And I actually genuinely didn't twig that it was a CVT. I mean, in a lot of ways, it gives all of the behavior off of like a fairly crap automatic gearbox, to be honest. Like, my distinct impression from driving it was, wow, this thing is slow. Like, this thing is alarmingly slow. And it made a fuckload of noise achieving a fuckload of nothing.
Yeah.
It had a sport mode that made the backing of the dash go red, as if that was to inspire some kind of confidence and speed. But all it did was just make more noise. It was phenomenally slow.
Yeah. They're not great.
Yeah, no, I wasn't a fan. It was just like a 1.8, like it was not a big motor or anything like that, but it did have a battery to help it out. Yeah, it just felt like a 1.2. Like it struggled.
Yeah. Do you know the thing about them that really grinds me as well? And this is actually another automotive oddity because it's the only car of its type. the Honda CRZ.
Oh, yeah, that's that
Because,
weird hatch hybrid thing that came out a while ago.
yep, but it's a hatch. It's a hybrid, but it's also a manual.
Yeah. Do you know what? This is really, really weird that you brought this up because this morning when I was walking to work, I was actually thinking about that car. And I was thinking about it because I was like, there's something weird about that car that was unique for it, but I couldn't remember what it was. And I was thinking, I bet that's a car that might be worth a bit of money in future. As like, this was a bit weird. Like, not an insane amount as like, your F40 or something like that, but like kind of more than you'd think just because it's a bit weird. Like the Honda Insights.
Yes. I do.
But yeah, sorry, do continue.
No, that was it. Because, like, well, the thing that fucks me off about hybrids, right, is Honda pretty much proved you can have a manual hybrid. And they're actually, from what I know of them, they're actually quite peppy to drive. Like, they're not a bad steer. And like, imagine a GS450H with a manual box. How fucking fast that would be. Or like even an IS300H, because they've actually got a reasonably decent chassis. I mean, the ISF, it was never gonna like obliterate an M3 at its own game, but by God, it gave it a good go.
Mm-hmm.
And by all accounts, people who buy the F series Lexuses typically tend to buy another F series Lexus. Like, they don't move away from them once they're into them, so they can't be bad.
Yeah, Lexus is a really interesting company that's made quite a large departure from what it used to be. It used to be kind of luxury, but also you could get Lexus with like decent motors.
Oh
They
yeah,
had V8s, they had like 3 liter and 2.5s and stuff like that. But
yeah.
now everything, the whole lineup, I think, is hybrid, and that's what they've really heavily leaned into is like they are the hybrid.
But I can get behind that because it's not pure electric. Like, a hybrid makes sense, I have to say.
So yeah, I've definitely driven a CVT gearbox, and yeah, I would say that of all of the gearboxes I've experienced, I did like that one the least. It
It's a pretty.
really does strangle a lot of like the actual power out of the car, whilst also make sure you get the most noise out of the engine. Like I
Yeah,
totally get why it would be great for just pottering around at like constant kind of like throttle load and stuff, or at motorway speeds and things, but it's not really how I drive. It's not really what I do most of my driving in.
yeah, that's true. Like, I can't imagine. Like, I've driven a couple of them, and like my ultimate takeaway from them all is just like, why? Like, an accountant okayed this because an engineer would never have said this was acceptable.
Yeah, I suppose they fulfill some requirements, but they're not the requirements that we have at all.
No, they're really not.
Absolutely not. Yeah, no, I could see myself buying a hybrid if they did offer like a kind of a manual. I must be such a laggard when it comes to accepting automatic gearboxes, but I just don't like them very much. I'm just so unused to them. I've never really experienced a good one either.
No,
That's not to say they're not out there. I just haven't driven a car that has a good automatic gearbox from all the ones I've driven.
fair enough. I mean, probably the best one on the market's the ZF. Like the 8-speed that's in all the BMs and stuff. Well, it's in fucking everything. It's in Jaguars, BMs. Yeah, it's in all sorts. I quite like some of the DTC gearboxes, like the dual clutches.
Uh,
But still, like, I would take a good manual over any of them. I'd take a shit manual over most of them, to be fair.
I think I would be okay with an automatic gearbox that was just an automatic clutch.
Yeah,
But I think that's fundamentally the problem that I have with all automatic gearboxes that I've used is they've always wanted to change me out of a gear that I want to stay in, and that's where we've diverged. That's where we've fallen out fundamentally.
yeah. See, if you were to have a go, like, people will say this is a shit example, but like, that like an A45 AMG,
Aye.
those, when like you put them in manual, they will not change gear. Like,
See, something like that would be great. Yeah.
I mean, well, I don't know. They might. I mean, the one I took out might be an oddity and it had a fucking remap on it or something. But I mean, I put it in manual mode, and like I could slam it into the limiter, and I could almost stall it. Like
Mm-hmm.
it wouldn't let you stall. It would downshift then, but like essentially, if you didn't pull the trigger to go up a gear, it would just hit the limiter and bounce.
Yeah, I'm totally fine with that. That's great. In fact, having a gearbox that takes away the shifting. Admittedly, I do enjoy, actually a manual gearbox and shifting gears and all of that stuff. But like, I can see the appeal of that when you're just like wanting to blast about.
Yeah, I can see it. Like especially if you're in stop-start traffic a lot and that. But yeah, I mean, I have to say, anything that robs engagement shouldn't necessarily be applauded. So good manual gearbox. Actually, that's an oddity in itself. A good manual gearbox nowadays.
It kind of is a little bit. Do you know? I was just thinking there that we might actually be in quite privileged positions when it comes to cars, because neither of us live anywhere near traffic.
Yeah, that's true. Actually.
Like, we do not have to experience traffic. Like, we're not people that have commutes that are like, 20 miles, but it takes them an hour and 10 minutes.
Yeah, like people who stay in Hereford, for example, that is without a doubt one of the worst places I've ever driven in the UK.
Mm. I remember for a very, very brief amount of time, I commuted from Bristol to Salisbury, and that was a shit road, and that was bad in the morning. That took a long fucking time.
Yeah, that would have been horrible. You're right in the kind of dense population as well there.
And it's all shitty A roads and stuff like that getting you about places.
Yeah.
Whereas we've still got kind of shitty A roads, but there's just no enough people here to form a queue.
Yeah, like the difference is we've got shitty A roads, but if the mood takes us, we can do Mach 10 down them. Yeah, I would agree.
I wonder if my opinion on automatic gearboxes might be different if I lived like, where I had like a really traffic dense commute to deal with and stuff like that.
Yeah, I think it might. I think as well, like if you get the chance to like have a go in a proper performance based one, like an AMG Merc or something like that, I think that might change your mind too.
Yeah, I know I absolutely will at some point because, like, I'll get another car at some point and it'll probably, if it's new enough, it might actually have something like that. But
One
like,
thing,
I reserve my judgment for now, but I do really, really like manuals.
fair enough. One thing I will say about automatics, there's nothing quite like the kick in the back that you get when you're sitting like pottering around in top gear at like 40 mile an hour, and then you stick the boot in it and it drops like 4 gears and just fucking flies.
Yeah, like an instantaneous delivery.
Oh, well, no, it's not like instantaneous though, because you plant your foot, right? And there's like a second where everything stops as it changes down like 5 cogs. And then the revs just go mental and you shoot towards the horizon in a properly good performance automatic. Like leaving it in drive, not even in sports mode, and you just hit the downshift, hit the kick down, and it's like it takes a wee second to kick down all the gears, and then that's you're off.
I totally get that, but would you not want to be involved in the kickdown? Because, like, in a manual, all you would do is you would, like, fire the clutch in, slam it down into whatever gear you want that's, like, nice and low, and put the boot in it. And you would just do that in a quick kind of motion, like a coordinated motion. And it would be more engaging, Like, it would be slower. Undoubtedly, it would be slower. But, like, I think I would prefer that engagement to that nothingness pause. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's fair, but it's a very different sensation. Like that's really the sensation of it is what I quite like when you're in a fast automatic. Like it's just effortless momentum.
It just goes.
Yeah, I don't think I would like it in like a small sporty car, for example. I would want a manual. But like when I'm in a big land barge, like an S-Class Mercedes with a V12 or something in it, like then I want slush box accessible easy performance, you know.
You want the surge.
Yeah, that's it. It's that little bit of hesitation with just the absolute haymaker at the back. It's just class.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You pass under the portable camera on the flyover and you surge back to whatever speed you were traveling.
Yeah, that's it exactly, man. I don't know. I think that's kind of us for automotive oddities as well.
I mean, genuinely feeling kind of on the spot, I can't think of any real automotive oddities. There is so many. Like, I do love K cars or key cars,
Oh,
however they're pronounced. Like, you know, like the uh like Suzuki Wagon R's and kind of nonsense like that, and the Daihatsu Copen, like that kind of stuff. Suzuki Cappuccino, definitely one of my faves. Honda
oh,
Beat, all that.
S660,
The S60.
S660 as well.
Yes, yes. No, that's quite rare, that thing.
They're fucking expensive as well.
Yeah, I absolutely bet there is a bit of a market for like the sporty wee key cars.
Yeah, they are definitely an oddity.
I
Japan,
love them. I think they're fucking great. I really want one.
yeah, I would love one, but again, I don't fit in them.
You would look absolutely hilarious in one, yeah. Part of me would like to buy one just so that you could sit in it, like for scale.
That'd be quite funny, actually. I'd be well up for that.
Yeah. Again, I torture myself looking at stuff like cappuccinos online, and like I've seen them just gradually increase in price over the years, and I've never ever had enough money to afford one.
You'll get one, man.
And you need to keep your eye out if you find a wrecked one. Like,
Do you want me to set up a search alert?
definitely.
I'll do it. Like I'll set it up after this tonight.
I'm looking. I'm looking for a cappuccino.
Be careful what you wish for, Tom.
This is a bit of a bucket list car for me.
Right. I need to know a budget, and I'll get you one.
I don't actually know.
You know what you should do?
What's that?
You should check the insurance on one.
Why?
Well, given what we were talking about earlier in the week, that might be the perfect solution.
What were we talking about earlier in the week?
Your missus learned to drive and insurance.
Oh, of course, yeah.
That would be a properly badass little car for a first car, by the way.
That would be an insane first car, yeah.
Like that.
I don't know how happy she'd be if I bought an even less practical car than we currently have.
But no, we've been over this, man. It's a soft top.
There is technically infinite space in it, yeah.
You could just plonk a tree in it and drive home.
That would be great. If I had one, I would 100% get the Christmas tree with the cappuccino.
Yeah. They are cool as fuck, like, I have to say. They're a bit, and bang on being an oddity as well.
Yeah, totally. There's actually two for sale right now, and their prices have cooled a little bit from what they were. Although this one that I'm looking at is cheap.
What, the one you sent me the link for?
Yeah, it does make me slightly concerned about it, but I really want that. Fuck.
Need I remind you, I am quite possibly the worst person you could ever have this conversation with, because I will just fucking push you on it. Do it, Tom. Do it. Buy it.
I need to have some serious thought about that. But I need somewhere. I need somewhere to put it. I don't have the space for I don't have space.
Yeah, that's fair.
I just drop it off of my folks. Like, I bought this. Can it live on your drive for 6 months to 4 years?
Class.
I mean, it's a small car. We could push it into the corner.
It is tiny, so it is.
Oh man, I can't. I have to close that.
Quality.
Maybe I'm just not making enough spontaneous decisions. Maybe I do need to make more spontaneous decisions. Maybe this is a spontaneous decision.
As someone who makes a lot of spontaneous decisions, I enjoy life.
Oh man. Okay, yeah. I'll think about that. I'll definitely think about that one. Right. So we've covered a lot of our nostalgia for the past in kind of where we came from with cars.
Yeah, man.
And we've talked about a few automotive oddities, some that we don't like, and then some that we really, really like to the point where it's a problem.
Yes.
So yeah, I mean, I don't know. Do you want to wrap up here, or do you want to talk about one more thing? Because we did talk very briefly about video games, but I also think that that's a big subject in the car world, because you know how formative Need for Speed Underground was, and Underground 2. I mean, everyone always bangs on about how much they love Underground 2, but I actually really, really liked Underground. I was like, wow, when that came out.
Yeah, Underground was the boy. Yeah, I don't know if you've got a subject that you want to hit. I mean, the video games might be a standalone episode. sort of material. There's a lot of meat on them bones.
That's true, and I haven't really thought about it. My only thoughts have been that I like games, and it would be nice to talk about some of my faves. Because like I don't know to what extent you actually play like racing games, you know, or driving games.
Love them, so I do. Probably a good 50% of my gaming time is on them.
That's totally fair. Yeah, that's probably where I sit.
They tend to be my kind of go-to. Like if I'm struggling for something to play, I'm not going to be like, I'll bang Halo on and play the campaign mode for the 9 millionth time. What I'll do is I'll load Forza up, I'll build something ridiculous, and then try to go sideways around the Nürburgring for as much of a percentage of the track as possible.
Absolutely, yeah. No, absolutely. I gravitate towards racing games when I'm just like, I just want to kind of like chill and not really think and just dick about. Like, there's so much to do. What I've been playing recently is I've been playing the new WRC rally game because it was on Game Pass, so I downloaded it, installed it, and it made me really remember how much I enjoy rally games. Like, I loved the first Dirt Rally game.
Yeah.
Not Dirt Rally, but the actual first Dirt game. So they dropped Colin McRae from the title, I think, and then it just became Dirt.
Yes, that was an immense game.
It was really, really good. It'd been a long time since a rally game that gripped me like that, and I just thought it was so much fun. So yeah, I've been really back into rally again. I love how much focus that you need to give it. It's not like you can't get too distracted. You need to be like in that flow state of just digesting the notes and also processing what you see and just kind of like converting the notes into mechanical action. I've been really enjoying it.
Yeah. No, that's cool. You know the thing I loved about that game the most though? The hill climb.
Oh yeah, the hill climb cars were insane.
Yeah. Like the Peugeot 405 XT. I'd legitimately have a Peugeot 405 XT off the back of that, by the way. They are incredible.
Yeah, no, they were really cool. Yeah, I agree. Would they not call them like Trailblazer events or something like that?
Yeah, well, it was because it was up Pikes Peak, wasn't it?
Or maybe I'm thinking of Dirt 2. I'm not 100%, but yeah, I do remember the hill climb cars and they were great.
They were.
I love Classic Rally as well.
Yes, although I cannot do the rear-wheel drive rally cars.
Really?
No, I don't know. It's maybe because I'm playing it on a controller, but it's like driving on glass. It's like, and I've driven rear-wheel drive cars. This is actually a complaint I have about games, right? And feel free to weigh in on this. Well, actually, do weigh in on this because I want to know your opinion. What really used to get me was like, you know, Project Gotham, for example.
Aye.
Like playing that, or playing Gran Turismo, or what was the one that was like absolute anger-inducing? Project Cars, for example, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you go around a corner, and I'm like, I know for a fact I could get a Mark 1 Mondeo around that corner in real life faster than that. And for some reason, this fucking Caterham, or whatever it is you're driving in the game, can't do it. It understeers to death, or it just, like it's got marbles for back wheels, goes way, and a swap ends on you, and it oversteers. Like, it's so ridiculous, like so miles away from. And I think a lot of it's to do with the ignorance of a lot of people in real life as to what a car can actually do. But like a lot of the time when you see it, it's like the physics are just so insane in the game, and it's like it doesn't have any correlation to what you can actually pull off in real life. And the fact that a lot of them are marketed as simulators gives me an issue with that. If they were arcade games, I wouldn't have a problem. But the fact that a lot of them are simulators is like, it's not a fucking simulation.
Yeah, I mean, I would definitely say there are good racing sims out there, but I do think quite a lot of sims are not that sim.
Yeah.
But like, I think a main problem is feedback. Like if you've got like like a direct drive wheel or something like that, you get more feedback through the wheel. You obviously get less from like a controller that's just like rumbling away and stuff like that. It's that level of feedback. Like at some point I'll get you to try Project Cars 2 with VR using a steering wheel and pedals in like a seat and stuff like that.
Right.
And it doesn't feel like driving a car because there's no motion, there's no force on you, but it's way closer than sitting in front of a screen with a controller. Because like you've got the VR on, you look about, you see all the different like directions, from inside the car.
Yeah.
You've got your hands on a steering wheel in front of you, and it matches what you're seeing through the VR. You get your feet on pedals and stuff like that. It's a lot closer to the actual driving, and it feels a lot better actually. It still doesn't feel close to driving because you don't get that force, but it is a lot better.
Fair enough. Yeah, I mean, maybe that's what I'm missing. But I mean, like, I'm just looking at it like perceived surface, angle of turn, camber, and speed in the car that I'm in. And Forza I always found was really bad for it. And it's like going around a corner in this Ferrari, and it's like all over the shop. And I'm like, I could legitimately take an RX-8 round that corner faster. Like, it's the comparison to real life that kills it for me a lot of the time. And I often find that the arcade games are better at it than the Sims a lot of the time.
I think arcade games are more fun. Like if you should not try to go for reality. You should try and go for something that's fun and engaging. Like you can have something that's like I quite like a simcade. Like Forza is a simcade. It's like a kind of more serious arcade racer where you can't just like, it's not like tap X to drift kind of style of driving model. But also, it's definitely not a, you have to warm up your tires and you need all of the gear to really like get into it and stuff like that. It's way more accessible than that.
Yeah, that's a fair point, actually. I would say that's probably the sweet spot then.
It's most accessible. Like you can pick it up, you can just go. Like I mean, I love racing in VR. I think it's actually it's great. It's more immersive, but on the flip side of that, it's way more faff to set up. It's way more faff to kind of like just get in and out of the thing. It's way fucking sweatier, 100%. Like all of this stuff, when you've just got like an hour, sometimes it's not always like what you want to just like, plug yourself into the virtual reality and like do a fucking 20-lap race. It's much easier just to pick something kind of more cash up.
Yeah, no, that's fair. Yeah, that's actually a solid argument, man. Yeah, I can't disagree with that in the slightest.
Like, I absolutely love racing games. Like, I really like racing. But also, I really like just driving about. Like, I really like the GTA games because they're basically just like a open world driving sandbox.
Yeah. Do you know there was a game that came close to this, right? And for the love of me, I cannot fucking remember the name of it. It was like a cross America race. The Road, something like that, made by EA, right? And the map was actually like,
oh, I know this one. It was like Motorfest, is it called? I know exactly the one. It was the whole of the USA.
Yes, that's it, exactly. That's the one I'm talking about, right?
Do you know what's really bad? I've played this game. I've completed this game. And could I tell you its name? Can I fuck?
Well, see what I would want, right, from an open world game, is that map with like soft body physics on the cars and like actual wear and tear and fuel use within like Need for Speed Underground 2 gameplay. So the open world street racing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Lease and stuff. But you actually have to fill up your car with fuel. And it's a reasonably like you get 400 miles to a tank, taking it easy type thing. And like your tires wear and you have to go and get replacement tires and like different parts, and you drive to a garage like what you did in Underground 2, but with like a sim bent on it and soft body physics in the cars.
Okay, first of all, have you heard of BeamNG? Because it has a career mode, which is kind of like a tiny little bit of that. It has fuel usage. It has like kind of damage. It has like you can drive up to places, like replace the parts and stuff like that. It's got kind of street racing. It is honestly, it's well worth exploring. It's good fun. And also the game we were talking about is The Crew.
The Crew, yes, that's it.
Yeah. Do you know The Crew was so weird? Like the handling model for that game was mental. I remember it being like all of the cars felt so rigid. There was like a lot of understeer, or then you could like trigger the drift and go into like a kind of weird snappy oversteer.
Yes, I remember it like that. Yeah.
And like, I still completed that game. Like, I think I enjoyed just boosting about enough. And it had that stupid card system where you got like a random part card at the end of the event.
Yeah. See, this was something that always bothered me as well. Right? See the customization options in games. Strangely enough, it was Need for Speed was one of the ones that done it best. You remember Need for Speed Pro Street, the original one?
Mm-hmm.
And you could like set the boost level of your engine and stuff in the settings.
Mm.
Because like I don't always want to put a turbo kit on my car, right?
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes I want to put a turbo and a supercharger kit on my car. Like, I want to do things that I can do in real life that are fucking mental, that are nice and easy to do in the game, because I click a few buttons and I get to have a little bit of that madness, a little taste of the insanity, instead of having to spend fucking 4 months building brackets and test fitting and then dropping it into the car and being like, oh, I see there's a chassis rail in the way. Back to the drawing board. Let's start
Absolutely.
again.
Absolutely. Like, that is the appeal, is you get to explore your kind of creativity with like what you want to do without actually having to go through the fucking rigmarole of doing all of that stuff.
Precisely. It's hassle-free automotive enjoyment. And when they put restrictions on you where you're like, you can't do that, it's like, no, I'm afraid that's unacceptable. I want to do that.
Yeah, I know. I completely agree. I love that. More freedom you can give me to make bad decisions, the more I will take. 100%.
Which, that game you showed me where you build your own cars and engines and stuff, I would make some absolute monsters in that.
Definitely. A car with like a power curve that's basically just a flat line and then a
Yeah,
vertical wall and then a tiny little bit of flat line.
that's it, exactly.
It's yeah, I've made a 10,000 horsepower engine. Power comes on at 9,500.
Lasts for 200 RPM, but you do 200 mile an hour in 200 RPM.
Absolutely, yeah. I've made a couple of cars like that in my time as well. And like, again, I'm not trying to advertise Beam, but I absolutely love Beam NG because in the career mode, one of the things you can do is you buy like a just generic shit car from the used car sales place and you take it to your garage. And the first time I played it, I had enough money for the all important turbo. So I bought a turbo and I took the car out for a drive and I blew the motor up because I didn't improve the induction system or the exhaust system or anything else like the block or the ECU. It was all just a stock car, but the part I put on was a turbo, and the car had not like that.
That's incredible.
Like, you can hit a curb with your wheel and bend the wheel, and then the car crabs. You can like bottom out, burst a hole in the radiator, and then your radiator gradually leaks over time, and then your car starts to overheat. And first, like things like the gaskets will go, and then like the thing will just like stop because it's decided to become like a impromptu inspection port.
Class. That right there, that's what I want. Right, I want that. Not hyper realism, but just like, if you're gonna make a air quotes sim, make it. Like,
I really like it to simulate the mechanics and the crashing.
Yes, because there's nothing worse than when and Forza Horizon's the worst for this. You'll be doing like 290 mile an hour, and you'll hit something, and you just stop.
Aye, totally, yeah.
It's like, no, that's not right.
Yeah, definitely. You would definitely stop in Beam, but you would stop with less car than you started with.
Yeah, that's what I want, though. I want it to not realism, but I want some of that,
Yeah, absolutely. I like how you can just do stuff that like you can't exactly just drive your car into like a junction and smash everyone about. It's not something that's practically possible to do.
Yeah.
But in a game you can.
Yeah. It's that escape is what it is. And it should continue to be that, but it should be a better, more realistic escape. So, we kind of figured out who the fuck we are.
Yeah. An important step.
It's always good to have a bit of who are you. Then dipped our toes into the world of automotive oddities, which, admittedly, to be honest, we could probably do a full episode on that relatively safely and never run out of content.
Yeah, there are some weird cars out. There's a lot of weird cars out there.
Yeah, and to be honest, I think this is probably going to be a subject we'll revisit sometime in the future.
I think I'd maybe like to. I really do like weird cars.
Yeah, I mean, we could probably do a mini series on it. To be fair, there's a lot of meat on them bones.
What makes a weird car rather than what makes a great car?
Yeah, and then then we kind of touched on video games, which is again a lot of meat there. Like we could probably do an episode on that by itself. But yeah.
So, totally, that'll become an episode where I just lecture everyone about the virtues of Beam, and I'm like, you should be playing it all the time.
That works, man. What to do is we'll do it and then send it to Beam and be like, yo, what's happening? Do you fancy a little collab? Yeah, man, why not? But no, yeah, so it's been a pretty decent chat. So it has.
Absolutely, yeah. We've spaffed off some random thoughts about some whatnot.
Oh, we've covered some intellectual ground here. Well, I don't know if intellectual is the right word. We've definitely covered some ground.
Yeah, we've shuffled across the ground.
We have.
Yeah.
Well, I suppose that kind of draws us to an end, dude. So if
Absolutely.
yeah, if you've enjoyed listening, please do give us a review and let us know what you're thinking and a little 5-star drop. As always, comment because we are really quite interested in hearing what everyone thinks. And yeah, on the subject of the review, 5 stars or nothing, please. I mean, if you can give us 6, that would be even better.
Cool. Bye.
Toodaloo!